What if I told you that the #1 reason most men over 60 struggle with weak erections has nothing to do with testosterone and nothing to do with aging? That in fact, the biggest culprit might be something far more surprising, something as small as a vitamin deficiency, a single missing nutrient that, when restored, can dramatically change how your body responds during intimacy. I'm Dr. Mohit Khera, a men's health specialist with over 3 decades of experience treating sexual dysfunction in older adults. I've helped thousands of men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s restore their confidence, energy, and bedroom performance, not with invasive procedures or dangerous pills, but with safe, medically sound strategies backed by science. And today, I want to share something most men have never heard. A common vitamin, often associated with women's health, is actually one of the most powerful allies we have in restoring male performance. Why? Because it doesn't just help with blood flow. It helps with nitric oxide, artery flexibility, testosterone production, and even energy levels. The best part? This isn't a gimmick. It's real. It's simple. And it's something you can begin working on today, naturally. So stay with me, because in just a moment, I'm going to reveal exactly how this vitamin works, how to take it safely, and why men who start now are seeing remarkable results without ever touching a blue pill. Before we go any further, if you haven't already, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss a science-backed health tip designed specifically for men like you. And if this message resonates with you, type 1 in the comments. If it doesn't, type 0. Your feedback helps me improve and bring you the guidance you truly need. Now that you understand the promise behind this powerful vitamin, let's begin with the root of the problem. Why erections naturally weaken after 60. It's not just hormones or desire. The real issue lies deep within your blood vessels, and it all starts with how your body ages from the inside out. 1. Why erections get weaker after 60. I've had countless men sit across from me in my office, looking down with frustration and asking the same question, "Doc, why does this keep happening?" And what they mean, of course, is that their erections aren't what they used to be, not as firm, not as reliable, and sometimes not there at all. Many assume it's just part of getting older, a cruel but natural decline. But here's the truth I wish every man knew. Aging is only part of the story. The real issue lies in the way our blood vessels change over time. As we get older, our arteries, especially the tiny ones that supply blood to the penis, become less flexible, more inflamed, and more prone to blockages. These microvessels are incredibly sensitive, and any reduction in blood flow, even slight, can drastically affect sexual performance. Add to that the slow accumulation of oxidative stress, poor circulation, and a silent buildup of damage inside the walls of those vessels, and it's no wonder things stop working the way they used to. And yet, here's where the story takes a hopeful turn. Because those same biological changes that make erections more difficult are also highly responsive to the right kind of support. And that's exactly where this overlooked vitamin comes in. It doesn't just patch up the symptoms, it gets to the heart of the issue. So now let me show you why this one nutrient, often forgotten by men, is one of the most powerful tools we have to restore strong, lasting erections from the inside out. 2. The forgotten vitamin behind male sexual performance. I still remember the first time I saw the research. A study linking a vitamin, one most men associate with prenatal supplements, to measurable improvements in male sexual performance. Honestly, I was skeptical. But as I dug deeper, I couldn't deny the evidence. This wasn't fringe science. It was real, and it changed how I approached care for my older male patients from that day forward. The vitamin is folic acid, also known as vitamin B9. Most men have never given it a second thought. It's never featured in commercials for male health, and yet, it plays a vital role in the very processes that determine whether you can achieve and maintain an erection. This tiny, water-soluble nutrient is essential for cell growth, DNA repair, and the formation of red blood cells. But more importantly, for our purposes, it directly affects the vascular system and how blood flows throughout the body, especially to the most sensitive areas during intimacy. I've seen men in their late 60s and 70s who were struggling, not from a lack of desire, but from a body that simply couldn't perform. And when we corrected their folic acid levels, something remarkable happened. Their energy came back. Their confidence returned. Their relationships changed. Because this vitamin doesn't just support performance, it supports the entire system that performance depends on. But what truly sets folic acid apart is the way it works with your blood vessels, especially through its influence on a specific molecule that powers every erection you've ever had. And that's exactly what we'll talk about next. 3. Folic acid and blood flow, the real key to erections. When I sit down with my patients, men in their 60s, 70s, sometimes even in their 80s, I always come back to one core truth. Without blood flow, there is no erection. Not a weak one, not a partial one, none at all. It doesn't matter how much testosterone you have or how strong your desire is. If the blood can't reach where it needs to go, nothing happens. And this is why folic acid matters more than most men realize. You see, folic acid has a direct impact on a molecule in your blood called homocysteine. Now, you've probably never heard of it, but elevated homocysteine silently damages your blood vessels from the inside out. It roughens the inner lining of your arteries, making them stiffer, less elastic, and more prone to plaque buildup. And those tiny arteries that feed the penis? They're the first to suffer. I've seen this over and over again in my clinic. Men with low folic acid often have higher homocysteine levels and more difficulty achieving firm erections. But the good news is, folic acid helps lower homocysteine, protecting your arteries and allowing blood to flow more freely. That means when the moment comes, when you feel aroused, your body can actually respond. And when blood flow is restored, everything begins to change. Stronger erections, longer duration, greater confidence. I've had patients who thought they were beyond help tell me, "Doc, I feel like I'm 20 years younger." And you know what? That's not an exaggeration, because what folic acid does for your arteries isn't just physical, it's deeply personal. And what if I told you that folic acid does something even more powerful than restoring blood flow? Something that mimics what drugs like Viagra try to do, but naturally, let me show you. 4. Folic acid boosts nitric oxide, the gas that powers erections. If there's one molecule that determines whether or not a man can get an erection, it's nitric oxide. Not a hormone, not adrenaline, not testosterone, nitric oxide. It's the silent spark behind every firm, lasting erection you've ever had. Without it, nothing happens. With it, the magic returns. And here's where folic acid reveals one of its most powerful and most overlooked roles. I remember explaining this to a patient in his early 70s. His confidence was low, intimacy with his wife had faded, and he was convinced he'd tried everything. When I told him that a common vitamin could help his body produce more nitric oxide, he blinked at me in disbelief. But the science is there. Folic acid supports the enzyme system that allows nitric oxide to be created in the inner lining of your blood vessels. That nitric oxide is what signals those vessels to expand, allowing blood to rush in quickly and completely, especially to the penis during arousal. Now, here's what's important. Nitric oxide is exactly what drugs like Viagra and Cialis try to mimic. But folic acid helps your body do it naturally, without side effects, and without forcing anything artificial. It works with your system, not against it. For many men, this means they begin experiencing firmer, more spontaneous erections, ones that feel real, not mechanical. And when that happens, everything changes. You stop worrying, you stop hesitating, you start feeling like yourself again. But folic acid doesn't stop there. It's not just about what happens in the moment, it's about long-term vitality. Because what it does for your hormones, your energy, and even your fertility might surprise you even more. Let's talk about that next. 5. Testosterone, fertility, and energy, the supporting cast. When men come to me concerned about their performance, most of them bring up one word almost immediately: testosterone. And yes, it matters. Testosterone fuels your drive, your strength, your mood, and your overall sense of masculinity. But what many don't realize is how interconnected testosterone is with other systems in the body, and how nutrients like folic acid quietly support that entire framework. I once had a patient, 64 years old, who told me, "Doc, I don't even feel like a man anymore. My energy's gone. I'm tired all the time. I can't even think straight." He wasn't just describing low testosterone. He was describing the slow unraveling of a system that had been neglected for too long. And that system needed rebuilding from the ground up. That's where folic acid became a turning point. You see, folic acid helps create the red blood cells that deliver oxygen and nutrients to your muscles, brain, and reproductive organs. It helps regulate the nervous system and plays a role in synthesizing neurotransmitters, those chemical messengers that affect mood, focus, and even sexual desire. And in the testes, where testosterone is produced, folic acid helps maintain healthy cell function and protects against oxidative stress that can slowly reduce your body's ability to produce this vital hormone. The result? When men restore their folic acid levels, they often feel sharper, more driven, and yes, more masculine. Their vitality returns, not because of a magic pill, but because their body is finally supported where it needs it most. But there's something else worth knowing. Even if you're eating a decent diet, your folic acid levels may still be too low. So let me show you exactly how to get enough and how to do it the right way. 6. How to get enough. Folic acid. The safe, doctor-recommended way. One of the most common questions I get from men after they hear about folic acid's benefits is simple. "Okay, doc, how do I start?" And I love that question because it tells me they're ready to take action. But the truth is, getting enough folic acid isn't just about grabbing a bottle off the shelf. It's about understanding how this vitamin works in your body and how to make sure it's absorbed effectively. Folic acid is found naturally in leafy green vegetables like spinach, kale, and collard greens. You'll also find it in beans, lentils, avocados, and some fortified cereals. But here's what I've seen in practice. Most older men, even the health-conscious ones, aren't getting nearly enough from food alone. Our digestive systems become less efficient with age, and certain medications can block absorption altogether. That's why I often recommend a high-quality supplement, especially for men over 60 who are dealing with low energy, poor circulation, or declining performance. The standard recommended daily intake is 400 micrograms, but in clinical settings, slightly higher amounts are sometimes used, safely, to support cardiovascular and sexual health. And if you want to maximize its benefits, folic acid works even better when combined with vitamin B12 and vitamin C. Together, they enhance absorption and create a powerful synergy that supports both your heart and your hormones. I always remind my patients, this isn't about megadosing. It's about being consistent. Give your body the nutrients it needs, and it will reward you in ways you may not have felt in years. But the real beauty of folic acid is that its benefits don't stop with blood flow or energy. What it does for your long-term health, your heart, your brain, even how you age, is something every man deserves to know. Let's look at that next. 7. Bonus benefits: heart health, brain function, and longevity. One of the things I always tell my patients is this. When a nutrient is good for your heart, it's almost always good for your sex life, and folic acid is a perfect example of that connection. Because while we've talked about how it helps restore erections by improving blood flow and supporting testosterone, what often surprises men is just how far-reaching its effects really are. Folic acid doesn't only support circulation in the arteries leading to the penis, it supports the entire cardiovascular system. By lowering homocysteine levels, it reduces inflammation in the blood vessels, lowers the risk of plaque buildup, and can even help protect against heart attacks and strokes. For men over 60, that's not just helpful, it's life-saving. But the benefits go beyond the heart. Folic acid also plays a critical role in brain health. It supports memory, cognitive clarity, and helps protect against age-related mental decline. I've had men tell me, "Doc, I didn't just feel better in the bedroom, I felt sharper, more focused, like the fog lifted." That's not just in their heads, that's real biochemical support for the nervous system, coming from one overlooked vitamin. Even the aging process itself slows down when your cells are supported properly. Folic acid acts as a powerful antioxidant, helping your body fight off oxidative stress and cellular damage. That means more energy, healthier skin, stronger immune function, and yes, a longer, more vibrant life. And when you combine folic acid with the right minerals and nutrients, the results are even more impressive. So next, let me show you how to unlock that synergy, and why 2 specific minerals might be the final missing pieces to restoring the man you used to be. 8. Real talk. Why this matters after 60. There comes a time in a man's life when the mirror doesn't lie. You notice the changes, the weight that's harder to lose, the energy that fades earlier in the day, and maybe, most painful of all, the quiet erosion of confidence when things no longer work the way they used to in the bedroom. I've sat across from hundreds of men in this exact place, and every time, I can feel the frustration and disappointment behind their words. But let me tell you something I've learned after decades in men's health. Sexuality is not just about sex, it's about identity. It's about feeling strong, wanted, capable, and alive. And just because you've crossed into your 60s or 70s doesn't mean that part of you disappears. It may change, but it doesn't vanish. In fact, I've seen men rediscover a level of intimacy in their later years that they never thought possible. When we talk about folic acid, or testosterone, or circulation, we're not just talking about biology. We're talking about restoring a sense of self-worth, about reconnecting with your partner, not just physically, but emotionally. The look in your wife's eyes when she sees the spark return. The way you carry yourself when you know your body is working with you, not against you. That's why this matters, because it's not just about performance, it's about presence. It's about being fully alive in your own skin. And now that you understand the deeper emotional side of this journey, let me leave you with one final thought. The simplest action you can take today to start turning this all around, beginning with a decision that could change the next 10 years of your life. Let's talk about that now. 9. Final thoughts. Start today. Start small. One of the greatest misconceptions I hear from older men is this quiet resignation. They think it's too late. Too late to feel strong again. Too late to be intimate. Too late to change. But I'm here to tell you, not just as a physician, but as someone who's walked this journey with thousands of patients, it is never too late. The body still listens. The body still responds. Sometimes all it needs is the right kind of care and the willingness to start. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. You don't need to chase some impossible version of who you were at 25. What you do need is consistency. One small decision today, a better meal, a daily supplement, a walk instead of the recliner, can lead to real, lasting change. Folic acid may seem like a small thing, but inside your body, it's doing the heavy lifting. Protecting your blood vessels, boosting your energy, supporting your hormones, and helping you reclaim something deeply personal, your vitality. I've watched men who thought they were finished rediscover a part of themselves they hadn't felt in decades. Not because they chased youth, but because they supported who they are right now. That's what this is all about, not turning back the clock, but honoring your years by living them fully. So if anything in this video spoke to you, let it be this. You don't have to settle. Your best days can still be ahead. And the journey to feeling like yourself again, strong, capable, connected, it starts with a choice, a small step forward, and the time for that step is now.